You're listening to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the community for the best sales and marketing professionals in the aviation industry. You can't learn to fly just from a book. You learn from other pilots who know the tools, the skills, and the territory. Your hosts, John and Paula Williams, are your sales and marketing test pilots. They take the risks for you and share strategies, relevant examples, hacks, and how-tos. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you won't miss a thing.
Welcome to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying episode number 53, How to Adapt When a Competitor Has a Price Advantage. So I'm Paula Williams.
And I'm a good-looking guy. I'm John Williams.
Absolutely. And we are AVCI, and AVCI's mission is
to help you folks sell more products and services out there in the aviation world.
Absolutely. So if you have comments or questions on today's episode, or on anything else for that matter, use the hashtag AvGeekMarketing, AVGeekMarketing. We will make sure that we reply to every tweet and make sure you get an answer to your question. You can also respond on our website or on our podcast. So we look at all of those things all the time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if a competitor comes up with a product or service, or offers the same product or service as you at a lower price, it's game over, right?
Well, not necessarily, but if you're uninformed and inexperienced, you might think so.
Exactly. I know we've had people come to us and say, you know, we run a flight school and our competitor at the same airport offers flight time in a 172 at $10 less an hour than we can afford. So we're done. We're getting out of this business, which I think is just absolutely insane.
Well, and what prompted this was I went to a local shop here in town. It was run by a small business, and they sell lawnmowers. Mm-hmm. That's not why I was there. I was there to get parts for a chainsaw, but nonetheless. So I was talking to the guy, and another gentleman came in and said, well, I'd rather buy with you guys, but I can get the same lawnmower for $90 less plus a 2-year warranty on it than what you guys do, and it's the same brand lawnmower, except he's going through a chain store. One of the larger ones.
Home Depot. You might as well name them.
And they said, well, how can we compete with that? Of course, I can't just tell them that because it's not aviation and they don't want to pay for it and all kinds of other reasons. So I just sat there and listened to them, think, you know, I'll bet there's some aviation folks out there with a similar sort of problem.
And there are, because we've heard from them.
Yes.
Absolutely. And this is something that we cover a little bit in our pricing webinar and things. So,
I mean, you know, from the supplier's perspective, he does not want a major store and small stores all over the country competing with each other. On the other hand, the small guy can say, now, wait a minute. If I can make enough value added that doesn't kill my cash flow, my revenue stream, he should be able to compete with them quite nicely.
Absolutely. And that's really kind of two philosophies of competition, right? And you've got the mountain goats that just bang into each other and go head to head, literally head to head on price, and say, you know, if I can't beat the other guy on price, I'm just going to give up this hill and go find another one.
Well, and that's always an option. I mean, if they can't figure it out, then they better call their supplier and say, you can come pick up these lawnmowers because I can't sell them because you sell them at Home Depot at a price that I can't match. I can't even come close to matching with value.
Exactly. The other philosophy is kind of the judo philosophy, which is to be where your competitor is not. You know, if he is coming at you and at one particular angle, you want to move. Don't let him hit you head on. You know, especially if you're a smaller company, you're probably more agile. So you can get the heck out of the way and do something else, do something slightly different. And, you know, by offsetting his weight or speed or whatever, you want to use your advantages and to negate his advantages.
Oh yeah, I mean these guys have parts for everything in the whole world going back 50 years, and you can't get that kind of service from Home Depot.
Exactly. I mean, if you were to take your chainsaw to Home Depot and say, "Hi there, will you help me figure out what's wrong with this and fix it?"
And they're laughing at me as I leave out the door.
Exactly. But this mom and pop shop, that's probably what they've done for.
Oh, they had all the microfiche going back to when McCullough started building motors.
Exactly. So you want to do what you're good at. And when we're talking about aviation, how do you differentiate? There are three ways that we can talk about today. One is to add something, another one is to remove something, and the third one is to maybe specialize for a different audience than your competitor is going for. So, when we talk about adding something, you were talking about service. They will figure out the answer to a problem with you, whereas, Home Depot will not.
Well, I was looking for a tool in this case to remove the flywheel with.
Mm-hmm.
And even at $50, I couldn't find the correct tool. And I went in there and they didn't even charge me for popping the flywheel off.
Exactly.
I mean, and I bought, points condenser, that sort of thing there. And I got all the information, how to set the tuning requirements on it as an added bonus.
Right. So you add something, that is literally priceless. You couldn't really put a price on that.
And like I told him, I said, I don't have a need for a chainsaw. It just happens that my granddad gave me this one, and he bought it back in the 60s, and he wanted me to have it because I was the only one to get it started.
Right. And to give a couple of other examples of that, like Centrex Construction is not the largest construction company in the country, but they do specialize in aviation.
That's
so
right.
You get their knowledge in addition to their building expertise. So that specialty really, they're not trying to go head to head with the people that build skyscrapers in Manhattan. They are specializing in aviation and offering their expertise as an added bonus that is really valuable to a certain type of customer, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then when you talk about removing something, maybe you can have no reservations or less downtime than your competitor does on a product or service that you offer. So something like Special Services Corporation is a smaller charter company than NetJets, but they remove a lot of the hassle, the scheduling hassle and other kinds of things that people experience with the larger competitors. And they also will detail your car and possibly do your dry cleaning and other kinds of things while you're on a trip. So, they remove a lot of hassle and remove a lot of inconvenience from the process. Another thing that you can do is specialize for a different audience. So, Tannis, as an example, they have preheat systems for aircraft, and they are not trying to serve every aircraft on the market. They're trying to serve the pistons, smaller turbines, and helicopters. So they're not going head to head against anybody else that offers any other type of product. So, if you do have a competitor that has a slightly different angle than you, then you can probably look at the whole audience for your product or service and say, what do I do better than my competitors, and specialize in that and say, our product or service is not for everyone. It's specifically for this make and model of aircraft or this type of situation or this type of customer. And people like that. They like to be special,
Of course.
And you can charge a premium price that way because you offer a better solution to a more specific type of audience.
That you mentioned price, you never, ever, ever, ever compete on price.
Right. There are many things you can compete on, and price is the last one that you want to be competing on because it's a no-win game. If everybody keeps shaving off $1 from their price, then it's a death spiral that we just don't want to get into.
No.
Right. So if somebody tells us, they'd rather go with a less expensive marketing company, we're like, great, have a good time.
In stereo.
Exactly. Let us know how that turns out for you. If they're looking for the lowest possible price to get something done, that's great. But the outcome is likely not going to be the quality that they're after. And so chances are they'll be back in 6 months or a year when they've tried other options, right?
Been true so far.
Yeah. What was it Winston Churchill said about Americans? They'll
do everything wrong to start with before they figure out what to do right.
Yeah, Americans always do the right thing after exhausting every other possible option. Right. Okay. So finding solutions. When you're thinking about this, think about, what is your customer frustrated by? So if you are a flight school and your wet time, in 172 is more expensive than the guy across the street, you can think about, well, how can I help my students graduate with less hours? If they're graduating they're soloing at a certain amount of time, or they're getting their rating way over the number of required hours because it takes so long because of bureaucracy or because of inferior teaching or for other reasons, you can offer higher quality training and say our students graduate on average with a lower cost altogether, even if your per hour rental fee is higher, right?
Possibly, but you can also reduce or provide ground school for, say, the private on your way up through commercial instrument.
Exactly. Yeah, there's lots of options that you could do as a flight school. You could also offer extended hours, that are more convenient for professional people who have jobs. You could offer, ground school online. There's lots of things that you could do to make your program different from the others that you're competing against so that you're not going head to head. What does your customer want or need at the same time as your product or service? So if the airplane is in for service for an inspection or a maintenance process, can you also do detailing at the same time? If they're going to have downtime, why not make the most of it, right?
True.
And even if you don't do that, you might partner with somebody else on the airport that can offer those services at the same time and reduce the amount of downtime, increase the convenience, make things better for your customer.
As a matter of fact, there's a service that we met the guy that ran it in the NBA a few years back. They have people all over the nation use their centralized location. They will go pick up your airplane, fly it back, do whatever maintenance is required on it, and put it back exactly where it was.
Exactly.
Included in the cost of the service.
Right. So, you walk out and there's your airplane completely finished.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that kind of convenience is something that the right kind of customer is going to pay a lot of money for. So, think about what kinds of things, and it may not even be something that you offer. Delivery is a wonderful thing. Concurrent services is another thing. Think about also accessories, other things that will increase your customer satisfaction with your particular product. Add training, send someone out to help them install it and, use it the first time. There's lots of things that you can do that will increase the value of your product or service over, that of a competitor. All right, so those are some things that can be done that are more in the judo category than the mountain sheep category. So you want to think in terms of how can I use my strengths and my competitors' weaknesses in the best possible way. It just takes a little bit of creativity, right, John?
Oh yeah, you just got to think about it for a little bit, but you'll always figure it out if you take the time to think through what's going on.
Exactly. I've always thought, bookstores for the last 10 years or so have been competing against Amazon. But, the Barnes & Noble by Us has a trivia night and has movie nights, where they have things that Amazon can't do, which is basically getting people into a room having fun together. They have author signings, they have cooking, other kinds of things. So if you have a brick and mortar location, you can do a lot of things that the people online can't do. If you're online, you can do a lot of things that people with a brick and mortar location can't do. So, think about those kinds of things as you're going through. There's lots of ideas, and we'd love to hear your examples of what you thought of to add value to your company as well. So this month, of course, we're still talking about our budget worksheet, which you can still download, abci1.com/budget. And so download that and think about those unique competitive advantages as you're doing those marketing activities. How can you best portray those or let people know about those using your marketing activities? Okay, so you may also want to see, using a marketing calendar, how can you run maybe promotions around Valentine's Day or Halloween or other kinds of things to promote those ways that you're differentiating yourself. Budgeting in the holidays. Holidays are coming up this year. Trade shows, disasters, and how to avoid them, right? So
Mr. Ziegler said, go sell more stuff. America needs the business.
Right. And if you're wondering who Mr. Ziegler is, Zig Ziglar, he's actually one of the, if you're an aviation person, you may not know, he's one of the, I'm going to say, founding fathers of modern salesmanship. Very enthusiastic guy. Another thing that he says is, the customer has my money in his wallet and I've got his products in the trunk of my car and I'm just here to make the exchange.
That's right.
So yeah, presumptive selling is what he does, which is kind of fun. So subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, and make sure that you leave a review. And let us know what you think of this and other episodes and what you'd like to hear more or less of. And we want this to be about you. So thanks for joining us. Have a great week.
Ciao. See you.
Thanks for joining us for Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the best place to learn what really works in sales and marketing in the aviation industry. Remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating.